you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away, as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music. Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man Andy Gillard here. Hope everybody's keeping well in the world right now.
Hello everyone, Stu here. Hope you didn't get washed away yesterday. Well, Saturday, as you'd hear this. It was quite ridiculous, the whole situation. I avoided it thankfully when I got back from Villa Park. It started as I walked through the door.
Oh, that's okay.
Then I saw when I walked to work this morning, the remnants of it. It was like Hurricane Katrina. There's like mud everywhere, all over the paths and everything, everywhere. It's chaos.
Yeah, I was driving in towards Dudley, towards my mum's earlier, so I was going through Sedgley. There's like fucking parts of the trees have come down into the road and stuff. Didn't realise it was quite as bad as it was, but it just seemed like it was kind of horrendous out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what, when I said that a bit, it reminded me of the scene in The Matrix where Morpheus is talking to Neo about what happened to the world. And the bangs were, I mean, that's what I did. I mean, I was watching the Joshua farce. But I had the curtains open and the lights off just so I could watch. It is spectacular. Keaton didn't care, of course, which is the main thing. Yeah, it was very, very weird. Very strange happenings on Saturday night. But not as strange as these two films.
Yeah, two films. I know we said last week we were only going to be doing Kiss of Death, but we're actually going to finish off Nick's 90s. We're going to talk about Deadfall and Kiss of Death, and then we're going to rank all of Nick Cage's films that were released in the 1990s, all 20 of them. So we'll start with Deadfall, because that was 1993. That's the earliest one of the two we've got to discuss. And to be honest, I don't really want to discuss Kiss of Death, because we'll get to it, but it was boring as shit. Deadfall, though. This, I mean... I think I texted you about Nick Cage had been on screen 3 minutes, and this might be one of his most iconic performances ever given.
This is not listed as a comedy somehow. Yeah,
in the same way that The Room isn't supposed to be a comedy, I suppose.
But I don't understand. I don't know why, because this is not serious, is it? It can't be serious.
Can't be.
No, it's. I mean. As soon as it started and they started doing ridiculous camera angles and everything was kind of on a slant, and I thought it looks a bit like Tim Burton Batman, like how it just looked so 80s, 90s.
Yeah, they were doing the Dutch angles and all that nonsense, weren't they? It was very much of a time, I think, is the best way to put it.
I mean, a better time, which is why straight away I thought, oh, this is good. And then he got even more insane, like with it every 5 minutes, until he finally appeared.
the first, like the opening scene, I wouldn't say I thought it was good, but it was interesting that with a gang of people, and it's a con job goes wrong, and the guy's father dies, and then he goes to meet his uncle because his father wants him to get the cake, whenever that might be. And then it turns out that his uncle is like his twin brother, so it's exactly the same person. And it was all very bizarre. But then you see Nick Cage with the like, words won't do justice, the wig that Nick Cage is wearing in this film. Like, it's difficult to put into words how absolutely batshit insane his look was in this film.
He looks like a sun-kissed Alan Partridge.
Yeah. I mean, if you saw the day-to-day Alan Partridge, that's very, very much so. Utterly, just I was bewildered by his performance, because I've got to be honest, I thought the film was a bit boring. Like, there wasn't a lot going on that really I found interesting. The story and stuff was a mere backdrop to whatever it was that Nick Cage was doing on screen.
It was, but because as soon as you saw him and he was speaking in that ridiculous voice as well, I thought, well, this is obviously a comedy then. It has to be. Because this can't be a serious film with this performance in it. Because it didn't make any sense, and it was almost like everyone else was playing it completely straight, including Michael Biehn, who was just being Carl Reese again. Even so much as he had the sex scene with the 80s, 90s boobs as well. Again,
yeah.
Exactly the same as in Terminator. Almost the same music as well.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Which is always enjoyable. But the fact that he does play as a kind of... Did you ever play the Blood Dragon game? Where he was...
I don't think I did. I don't remember the name.
It was Far Cry 3 expansion, but they sold it as a separate game eventually. It was like 80s inspired.
Right, okay.
And so he had neon colours and all this. But Michael Biehn was in it.
Oh, right, okay. Because he's very much of this period of time. Like, there's not a lot of other Michael Biehn stuff out there. Nothing springs to mind apart from, I should say, Terminator. He's very much the beginning and end of his career almost, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm sure I've seen him in other things, but he's always got that kind of stern face, and everyone else was kind of playing it straight. Like, even the woman. This is hard because I don't want to spoil anything, because I think people really should go and find it, and if they can find it.
It wasn't the easiest. Like, I had to try and employ not even the third tier of nonsense to try and find these films. This was like fourth, fifth tier of skullduggery to find this film.
Yeah, it is it's very difficult to find unless you want to pay an absolute premium and get a DVD from Amazon for about 12 quid.
Yeah, I found that even like the streamers and stuff for like 8-9 quid, and I'm fucking paying that. I did find it on a couple of like dodgy streamers, which seem to have everything. So like, it's capable of finding it, but it's not from the primary sources, this one. Which surprised me. I almost expected to see this available on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's that level of a movie, isn't it? So I'm surprised how well hidden it is.
Because I'm sure we've watched one of his films on YouTube anyway.
Oh, we've watched a couple, haven't we? I know we watched that Industrial...
Symphony.
Yeah, that one we watched. And we watched the Christmas Carol one that he did, the anime.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't we? We watched that one. And there must have been... Oh, the first credit that he's got, the TV show, 40-minute thing. I can't even remember what that was called at the minute, but we watched that as well. So we have watched a couple via YouTube.
I mean, this deserves to be on YouTube. It deserves to be everywhere.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like it's good enough to be on Netflix. Like, I'd be annoyed if my subscription money went to buying the rights to this film.
I mean, I don't know what accent he was doing. I don't know what he was...
Not a clue. Not a clue. Wasn't there another film we saw where he played a con man and he put on a bit of a dodgy accent? And I think that is kind of like his thing is, if I'm a con man, I'm not going to be Nicolas Cage. I'm going to be doing something a bit odd because I need to show the world that I'm not to be trusted. Maybe I don't know.
But he's got this thing now of not playing bad guys, and so he's going to peat early with this. Even though morally questionable rather than a bad guy.
Yeah.
This way he's going, friend. I mean, for the first time in a long time, I actually had to get the notes app out as the film was happening, because I'm going to forget all this stuff, because it's something else is happening as you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
And he says,
sorry.
At one point, am I a fucking retard?
That's exactly what I was just. I kept walking around the house for the rest of the afternoon. Am I a fucking retard? I just couldn't get it out of my fucking mind. It was absolutely insane. Even by Cage's standards, batshit doesn't cover it.
It was a bit like a kind of like a Tommy gun wielding mafia kind of from the 50s kind of voice.
Yeah, it was
with other things.
Yeah, he was like Edward G. Robinson. He's the one that springs to mind, like the original Scarface from the 30s. Is the level of scenery chewing that he was putting on in points. So, good, bad, crazy. What have you got for your good, Stu?
I mean, the good, I thought I haven't laughed that much in a long time. It was hilarious, and I think I'm gonna say that it is. It was a serious film until they realised he could do this. And like, who is it written? Who is this? The director? Is it? I presume it's some relation or something.
I think it's a brother, because it is Christopher Coppola. So I think it might be one of his brothers. I know we had another one of his brothers who did Left Behind, which Cage was roped into doing, even though he didn't want to. And on his IMDb, doesn't seem to say. I'm about 50% sure it's a brother rather than a cousin. but yeah, like there's a familial tie there regardless. So I do wonder if Cage did this of his own free will, because he does seem to do whatever his family wants just for the sake of it.
Yeah, and he's got. There's no way this could be written. Not a chance.
I feel like it's a bit like, obviously you're a Curb Your Enthusiasm fan as well. They have a very sort of wide outline of what the scene needs to do.
Yeah, there's points.
And I feel like that everyone else probably had a bit of a script, but they just said to Nick, like, you just do what you honestly want. It's fine. We'll work around you. That was the impression I got throughout this entire film, because I can't imagine anyone writing the words that he spoke in this movie.
When as usual, I went in. I mean, there is a story. I'll come back to that in a minute. But when I finally found it, and I didn't look at who was in it other than the initial one, so I hadn't scrolled across. And I've got that Peter Fonda and James Coburn are in this, as well as Charlie Sheen very briefly.
When he turns up, I didn't know he was in the film. And his character's almost as fucking crazy as Cage's. Again, just an utter out of the world of the rest of this film appearance. Made no sense whatsoever. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was, and I think that is the good element. I mean, you can throw it in the crazy as well, because the fact that this doesn't know where it is, and it's played so straight from everyone else other than them two. Because if you took them two out and you just replace him with, oh yeah, this is the fact that he's not even the main guy, but then it's just like a shit hitman who then Michael Biehn's character kind of takes over from and steals his girlfriend and all this stuff. And I like how he's like manipulating her in the car and like eyeing her up and stuff, and he'll let you know over her. And even like when she says, "I don't sleep with him," and you're okay. You think, oh yeah, you couldn't do this now. But so I was trying to think who she is, and I've never seen Sarah Trigger. I've never seen her in anything else.
No, I don't think I have.
Thought I had, but she's one of them classic early 90s women.
Oh, Bill and Ted. I think she might be one of the princesses in Bill and Ted.
She's never done anything that you'd...
Looking at the rest of it, no, it's the odd episode here and there of stuff.
Yeah. So it was very much driven on Michael Biehn being the big star in this, and then Cage being roped into it, and then having free rein to do whatever the hell he wanted to. And him in this is one of his best, like you said, it is one of his best performances. I don't know what it is. It's almost like acting jazz.
I mean, it's kind of terrible because it doesn't fit the rest of the film. But without that performance, this is unwatchable.
Yeah, it's boring.
Because he's just boring as shit. There's nothing before Cage appears, and there's nothing after Cage exits, followed by a bear. Like, it, you know what I mean? It's the time Cage is on screen, great. But as you say, he's not the main person in this film, so he's not in all of this movie. And when he's not in this movie, it's just not worth watching.
Yeah. He very much is a scene stealer.
Yeah. And not always necessarily in a good way, but it does make it much more interesting to watch than it doesn't, I'd say.
Yeah, and when I was doing this list of these 19/20 films of the 90s, some of them I had no idea where they were. I had to go and I had to check.
Same, yeah.
And this, you're never going to forget it. Is that a good thing? Probably not.
I'll remember his performance. I can't guarantee I won't forget the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And as well, because this is one of the films that has been memed. The thumbs up meme of Nick Cage in the blue suit, that is obviously from this film. So this does have a meme that has lived on outside of it. I didn't realise that meme was this film until watching it.
Yeah, and it's not in the same level as Vampire's Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
It's not at that level. That was actually that was a decent film.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's shit, but it's still good at the same time. Yeah. So my good would be the parts when Cage is on screen, because my bad would be the parts when Cage isn't on screen.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not enough story or interest there to really pull you through. Like you said earlier about the Dutch angles and stuff, you could see the director was trying things, but he felt like he was very much... It felt like he was a TV director.
Yeah.
To be an insult, but it felt like he was someone who's used to working on TV who wanted to show, I know all the tricks, I can do film as well. It felt like he was a little bit out of his depth with it. I think he is where we were with it. And I've got to be honest, I don't know that he's done much else outside of this. Looking at his IMDb, he's done the odd bits here and there. Not a lot I've really heard of, to be perfectly honest. Again, it's the odd episode of TV here and there too. So I don't think he's had much, which is surprising really, because with a name like Coppola, you'd expect that would open some doors at least, but obviously not.
I've got that exact point. It feels like Baywatch at times.
Yeah, there's a few scenes I thought this is pure Baywatch, because it really was, wasn't it?
Because like how it's framed and how like it's not so much how they're talking off camera against no one. You know, it's not like foreground, background kind of the usual like soap stuff.
Yeah,
it's just like I said, it feels so 90s, but it feels 90s. The start feels like Batman, and then he goes into Baywatch, and then he goes into some. It could be Baywatch Nights. Who knows?
proper mess of a film. This is, I think, which would be like the crazy would be. Again, it would be down to Nick Cage, and it would be how nothing really fits together in this movie. Like you say, you feel like you're in Batman, you feel like you're in Baywatch. You've got slow motion running and all this kind of stuff that you wouldn't associate with this kind of a film. It feels so 6 o'clock on a Sunday on Channel 5.
Yeah.
Like, you'd stick it on in the background whilst you're cooking tea, maybe, rather than actually paying attention to it. There's just nothing particularly interesting about this movie.
No, and it's almost a shame, because I was bored, but I was engaged, and I don't know why. And yeah, there was bits with it, like you kind of did feel for him, and like how he was falling for her and all this kind of stuff. I thought, oh, it's actually got a sweet undertone. But the fact that the film like this has got certain other elements to it, maybe it's stupid. Probably again, I didn't see it. I think I didn't expect certain things to happen. I mean, somewhat having having the performance that he put, and then seeing someone's face boiled in a vat was not on the list of things to tick off. What was going to happen in this?
So, would you say you enjoyed the film then?
Yeah, I really shouldn't have done. And like you said, when he's no longer in the film anymore, it goes a bit weird.
Yeah,
like that section at the end is different. It's like a different film altogether.
Yeah,
from the rest of it, and not just because he's not in it. It feels like it was tacked on. Don't know why. But yeah, like I said, it's more memorable than a lot of shit that we've watched over the last 3 years. So yeah, I did enjoy it in a sick, perverse way.
So, I don't think I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Cage's moments throughout it, but the rest of it was crap. Like, it was just kind of boring. I thought it was kind of obvious what was going on. A lot of it I felt was quite signposted. There was nothing that interesting. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone outside of, Cage completionists. Because if you're a fan of Cage, you've got to see it just for the 25 minutes that he's doing his thing. It's worth it for that. But if you're not a Cage completionist, I don't think you'll get anything out of it.
No, you couldn't say... The usual takeaway of this, could I say, get my mum to watch it and she'd enjoy it? And I know she wouldn't.
No.
And you can't even say, oh, it'd work as like a 25-minute supercut on YouTube, because it wouldn't, because you wouldn't get any context. Not that you really need it anyway, but it's funnier because it is in this film.
Yes, in the context of the film, it makes that performance all the more amazing, I suppose. But yeah... No, I wouldn't recommend it. Was Cage good or bad? I'm going to say he's bad because it's not a good performance. It's a fun performance, but as a piece of acting, it doesn't work within the confines of the films. It just scratches that ridiculous, perverse itch that we have as people who have watched a lot of Nick Cage films at this point. So what would you... Good, bad?
I kind of agree, but I can't not say because we don't know what it was. We don't, because we
don't get me wrong. I enjoyed his performance, but it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't because it was ludicrous, but we don't know if that was the point.
Maybe.
And if that was the point, and he was supposed to be this outlandish mentalist with a dodgy Alan Partridge wig and a ridiculous moustache and a voice from the 50s, maybe he nailed it. But the fact that he's given a memorable performance in a film this bad, it has to be a good thing. So, on a technicality, yes.
Okay. If you enjoyed Deadfall, you may also like. What do you think?
The only thing I could think, because it's got to be something equally as stupid as this, because if you watch this and then watch Dude, Where's My Car, I think you'd have a great time.
See, I went the opposite way. I kept it with Cage, but I went with something a bit more straight-laced. Matchstick Men. Do you remember that one that we watched? Where it was about artists.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell's in it. I've got a lot of time for Sam Rockwell, to be honest. I remember really enjoying that one. So that would be my pick. Keep it with, con men. Keep it with Nick Cage. And that's a solid move. I think that'd be a good choice to watch instead of this one. Right, okay. The next film then is Kiss of Death. I was kind of looking forward to this because I remember when we spoke about Amos and Andrew, that we liked Cage and Samuel L. Jackson together. We liked their, the chemistry they had, and they're together in this film, or at least they're together on the call sheet of this film. So I don't even remember, did they even have any scenes together? Because in my memory, this is the most recent film I've seen. I've got nothing. I cannot remember anything. It was so nondescript.
No, I don't think they do. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it when they talk to each other.
Nothing springs to mind of any interaction.
Because again, he's not the main star of this film, is he?
No, and I think when you've got David Caruso as the star of your film, I'm never going to like it, to be perfectly honest. He's such a charisma void of an actor that it's just tedious.
I didn't know who he was. I'd never seen NYPD Blue or whatever nonsense he was in beforehand.
Yeah, he did that. And then I think what I knew him from originally was CSI Miami, which was the one I never really watched. I didn't like the Miami one. I liked the Vegas and the New York one. But whenever I watched Miami, I felt like I needed to watch it in the middle of the day because the lights were so bright. It would like fucking sear your retina. It was like the colour palette was disgusting on it. So I never really got into that. And he was just really boring as the main guy of the show. And everything I've seen him in, he just doesn't have any charisma. I don't understand how he's not an A-lister, but he has been a lead actor in stuff. I don't get it. I see absolutely nothing in him.
Yeah, the fact that he left his show for this film as well.
That does seem a bit of a mistake in retrospect, doesn't it?
But there's some decent people. I mean, the fact that Helen Hunt's in it, or we talked about Helen Hunt before. And obviously the Tooch is the Tooch.
Do love the Tooch.
Ving Rhames, again. Looking like Ving Rhames and not like he did last week.
Yeah, I knew it was actually Ving Rhames this time. Just as a slight side note, I was watching, watched Abbott Elementary?
It does ring a bell.
So it's a sitcom. I think it's on Disney Plus, and it's very much like Parks and Rec. So it's done in the style of a mockumentary set in an elementary school. It's very nice and happy, and not cynical at all. But one of the teachers has got this mug, and it had "Keep Calm" and "Keep Calm" and "Keep Tucci" on, and it's got Stanley Tucci's face in it. And I really want that mug now. Fuck, love Stanley Tucci. But this film kind of underserved him as well. Like, there wasn't enough Tooch for my liking in this movie.
It was another one that the idea was decent enough, and that it had something about it, but it was just very badly executed, and it was just very, very bland. And you had all these names on there, and you look and you think, well, what happens? And Samuel L. Jackson gets shot in the face within 5 minutes, and okay. This is not what you expect. And like you, I was just bored. Just very bored by all. And I really shouldn't have been. This should have been my thing. I love 90s crime dramas, and I love all that. The soundtrack was excellent. And another 48 Hours, and we've talked about Beverly Hills Cop in the past and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It had the same kind of vibe. And it never really went anywhere. Or even when you had the whole ridiculous situation of his wife going to work for his cousin in that place, and then that whole side story with the beer, like, never went anywhere.
It didn't, did it? None of it. It felt like none of it joined up. It was just a group of individual threads that never really come to meet each other at any point. Or if they did, I was so tuned out of the movie by that point that I just didn't give a shit anymore.
It was like an anthology.
Yeah, it was. You look at the cast, though. I mean, as you say, David Caruso, Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Cage, Helen Hunt, Stanley Tucci, Michael Rappaport, Ving Rhames, Philip Baker Hall, Anthony Held. These are all actors who give big performances and stuff, apart from Caruso, who always plays Caruso. But everyone else I've seen do decent things in other movies. And in this, it felt like everybody was phoning it in. So it was never going to win anything at that point. No one seemed to be interested in the slightest.
No, it was almost like one of them early made-for-Netflix films.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't proven. You've got some big names there. Let's see what we can get away with, and we'll put it out. And that's what this seemed. It seemed like a straight to DVD or straight to VHS at the time, as it would have been. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, it may have been. I genuinely don't know, but I couldn't imagine this getting a cinematic release because, other than the cast, I can't imagine there'd be any good word of mouth or reviews. Surely the studios would have just wanted to bury it on VHS and hope that it goes away.
Yeah, and the fact that I watched this completely. I mean, I watched this on Friday night, so I kind of built because I looked at the cast and I thought, okay, out of the two of them, but after watching Deadfall, okay, we've had nothing can be as ridiculous as this. This is the pinnacle of stupidity, and now look at this. This looks like a serious subject matter, and it's that vibe. And I knew it even comes out the 90s crime thriller. I thought, oh yes, I love 90s crime thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Samuel L. and we said, and this was my Friday night entertainment. I've never felt let down by myself ever before, and this time I did, because it was an utter waste of just best part of 2 hours, and it was 2 hours because I fell asleep and I had to watch it again.
It did feel like a fucking long film, didn't it? I think it was 1 hour 41. I think.
Yeah,
but it felt longer because it was such a drag throughout this movie.
The first time when he goes back. When he goes back with the wire, no, he goes in with the wire, and then he throws the wire out the window, doesn't he? And then when he goes back in again, it was then I had to rewind it from there.
Unlucky. So, have you got anything good that you can say about this film other than the soundtrack being decent?
I thought actually he was quite menacing in this.
Mm-hmm.
I thought. Skipping ahead, he was good in this film.
He was probably the only good actor. But at the same time, could John Cusack have played that role?
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, you could have got anyone. You could have got Harvey Keitel to play that role. It wouldn't really matter. But the fact we've never seen him, other than even in Face Off, he's a bit of a cartoon villain.
Yeah.
In this, he looks like a proper bastard. And he looks like even then, he's still overacting and he's still pissing about. Like that whole thing with his, when he's in his base, in his lair, when his dad dies.
Yeah.
It's all a bit farcical. And like that, fuck with the bull, you get the horns. What's that even mean?
It was like, it felt very out of context as well when he said it. Like, I don't quite understand why he was saying it.
Yeah, and he's got that tracksuit on, which again looks like it could have been his choice because he doesn't fit the character. I mean, the fellow was so pure and white, it didn't really fit anything. The idea was good enough. I think that's probably the best thing you could say about it, really.
It was just executed really badly, I thought.
Yeah, it didn't even live up to, let alone live up to its promise. It kind of pissed all over its own promise. Really, it was a disappointment, which is sad. I'd rather it be shit and funny like Deadfall than this.
Yeah, it was bad in all the wrong ways, wasn't it? Yeah. So my crazy would have been the one about, obviously, David Caruso handing in his NYPD Blue badge to go and make this film. Apparently, he was paid $1 million for this film, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money to a lot of people, but in terms of big acting, when you're on NYPD Blue, which, I mean, is that show still going at this point?
I don't think so.
It's 2005. It's one of those ones that it's in syndication, so I think it's always running. So, like, he would probably be making more money now per episode of NYPD Blue just off reruns. So it kind of feels like he maybe missed a step there, giving it up to go into this absolute shitter of a film. So, did you enjoy the film? It's a big no from me. I did not.
No.
Cage, good. I mean, he was, but not in any sort of special way. Like, it felt like he knew the assignment and didn't really go above and beyond in a way that we sort of appreciate with Cage. I feel very on the fence with this one myself. I don't think I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I know I normally do. I think he can do better.
Yeah, he can. He can do better. And I think you are I am kind of sitting into that whole, because everyone else was so bad, he looked better than he probably was. And him with a little goatee was strange.
Yeah.
And it's not seen that before. It was a bit off-putting.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a lot of facial hair Cage up until Pig, have we?
No. But he did look.
Springs to mind anyway.
But he did, like I said, he did give he did look convincing as a proper hard bastard of a bit of a mobster.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we still had to have the silliness, didn't we? We still had to have a little bit of sprinkling of the unnecessary for no reason at all. I'm probably going to have to say the same. I think it's so on the fence, it can't be classified.
Yeah. Because I think you just know with Cage, if it's good enough, it is. And if he's not quite on his game, and I just don't think he was quite there personally on this one. Lovely. Right, so that is Nicolas Cage's 1990s done. I need to check the rest to see how many we've got in the 80s and the rest, but I'm kind of surprised that the 90s are finally in the can with this one. So I think the best thing to do, we'll lump each film into one of 5 categories, and then we can talk about where we'll put them in the 1 to 20. Let's go chronological. I think is probably the best way to start it. We'll start with their 1990s Wild at Heart. I love this film, but I vaguely remember you and Matt not so much.
No, I didn't like it. I think it is one of them where, because we are apparently still going to get that sequel to it, that I will have to watch it again. And I have got a feeling that I'm going to be disagreeing with myself, that I think it was a time and place thing, that I'd probably enjoy it more than I did that time. It's one of them.
Knowing your tastes, I was very surprised that you didn't like it. Not so much with Matt, because I know that he tends to not be so in with the arty-farty stuff, but I know that you can appreciate that a little bit more. So I was quite surprised with that. Would you put that in the good, maybe? Like, I would argue it'd probably be great, because I think it's a masterpiece. But I would be willing to say good rather than... Like, I don't think it's mid. I think mid would be harsh. I think we're looking at a European pusher at the least here.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I have wrote them down 1 to 20, well, 1 to 19, because that nonsense is last. Let's just put it that way.
I think there's something worse.
Oh, yeah, Zandalia.
No, I love Zandalia. I fucking adore that vote. It's shit, but I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I had this at 17.
But
I rank them on my kind of enjoyment of them and how good they are. So I appreciate that this is one of them films where it's not for everyone, and on one day it probably could be for me. In the same way that, like we've said before, that I should have, after watching Belfast, I should have loved Banshees of Inisherin, which I really didn't like. And so these arty things sometimes work for me and sometimes don't, but you can never say which one it's going to be. So I could be talked around into saying it's good. It just wasn't for me on that time.
Okay. I think that's what we should do, is look at it as, is it a good film rather than did we enjoy it? Because there's going to be films here that I know were good films but didn't really scratch that itch for me. And there's going to be ones that did, that I know are terrible films. One thing that I know that we're both going to agree on is Firebirds, the next film up, that's going to be the worst. That, for me, is my 20. I hated Firebirds.
Wings of the Apache.
Yeah. That film absolutely honked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top Gear, if it was shit. Top Gun, if it was shit.
Yeah. It made no sense. I've forgotten most of it, other than I really hated it and how much Nick Cage just played an absolute sex pest throughout the movie.
Yeah.
It was mostly uncomfortable viewing. I didn't like that. That, for me, that was my 20th. That's the film I've got at rock bottom.
That was 80.
80, yeah. So, I mean, we're in the same ballpark there, aren't we? We're talking relegation candidates, basically. Don't talk too much about relegation candidates at the moment, though. Industrial, I'm going to jump ahead slightly. Industrial Symphony #1. that I would have had that at my 19. I got that slightly above Firebirds. I still think that's in the bottom category. That's a 1-star film. I mean, like, it's
not
very
easy.
genuine calling it a film. It's an art project that just so happened to be by like a mega mainstream director rather than some bellend doing their dissertation at uni. Because it's that level of wankery, isn't it?
I just remember it feeling like it went on for 4 hours and it's actually 40 minutes.
Yeah, like there's just no excuse for why it took me 3 days to watch it.
Yeah, it just bad, that was.
It was. And Xander Lee, then, so going back into chronological order, Xander Lee, I had more fun with that than I have with most Nick Cage films, fully knowing it's a terrible film, but it's the bit where they're having the argument and then Judge Reinhold catches a lizard.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why is there a lizard there? Where's that come from? And just, yeah, throughout the film, it made no sense. It was silly. Cage was looking suave and rock star as ever, and I loved it in spite of how bad it was.
It was funny.
Yeah.
I had it at 19, but again, it is memorable.
I've got them as like maybe around 15, 16. I think it's bad. It's not the worst. It's not unwatchable. Whereas I think for me, the worst category, the 1 out of 5, that's the unwatchable stuff.
Yes.
This is slightly above that for me.
If you're going for watching it again, would I watch it again? Then yeah, I would do.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
yeah,
I have done. Like, it's fun.
Talking about lizards in the
I don't know, into a sentence.
Before the Grand Prix this afternoon, there was in Singapore today.
Okay.
It was at night time, and Lenny Kravitz was there, which was weird.
Okay.
Not that he's a lizard. But who knows what's going to happen in Hollywood? But there was a lizard like doing this lizard walk, but along the track, and you had the stewards with a little lizard bag trying to catch it to put it in. Obviously, because you've got to have lizards on the track, you'd run over. And I don't know who was responsible for it, but they put the lap time counter up next to the lizard going over the timing markers. I thought, whoever did that was super. They need a raise. That was genius.
Excellent. Next film up, Honeymoon in Vegas.
Liked it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun, romantic comedy. It's mid-table.
Yeah,
like it's not a good or a great film, but it also wasn't bad. It was thoroughly enjoyable for what it was. There was no depth whatsoever to this movie, though, was there?
No, it was just it was perfectly watchable. It was perfectly Saturday evening, Sunday afternoon. I really liked it at the time, but it's just in the good category, nothing more.
Yeah, like if we talk about it in terms of Premier League, it's not going to be in a relegation battle. It's also not really going to trouble the European chasers, is it? It's just there in the middle, doing its own thing, getting along, and that's absolutely fine. It's one of the rare Sarah Jessica Parker films that I don't hate her guts in, because everything else, she's awful. But in this, I was like, okay, you work quite well with Nick Cage. You looked like an actual couple together. They looked reasonably normal as a pairing. So, yeah.
She don't look like a horse then either.
I mean, that does go a long way. Whenever I see her, I always think about, did you ever see the Family Guy episode where they say she looks like a foot? And that's all I can ever see is that she looks like a foot. Next up, Amos and Andrew. Again, this probably joins Honeymoon in Vegas for me. Like, it's fine. It's probably just in the lower half of the table. But it's not bad. I don't think I enjoyed it enough. And look, there's a couple of bits that make it just very much of its time. Early 90s. There's the odd sort of reference to black people and stuff that make it almost uncomfortable viewing through the 2024 lens.
But I remember that's why I liked it though, because when I remember saying at the time that it felt more relevant now than it probably did at the time, and that was my exact words. And I really liked it. I was going to say when we were talking about that Kiss of, I'd almost forgot its name, and we talked about it like 20 minutes ago. But it's like Kiss of Death. I'd say go and watch Amos and Andrew because it was good.
Would you put it higher than Honeymoon in Vegas? Would you put it probably in the good category?
Yeah, I'll probably. Yeah, it's a similar kind of area, but I think I'll put it higher up.
So I would have it probably around like 11th, 12th. Like it's firmly in the middle, but you're thinking more 8th, 9th maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll swap those two around. I'll put Amos and Andrew slightly ahead of it. Red Rock West. I really enjoyed this. I remember having a great time with this movie. I love a film noir, and this one ticked all the boxes for that. It was a sexy 90s thriller. That's, 2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah. Again, in the good category, but for the main reason that it was completely inoffensive and it was just fun to watch. Again, nothing special. Didn't need to be. But I remember I thought all three of us has had a great old time watching it.
Yeah. I remember it was I think it was one that none of us had heard about before. We all went into it very open-minded and all came out of it thinking, okay, that's there's much worse ways to spend an evening watching a film. Did the job.
Yeah.
It's probably coming in, I'd say, for me, ahead of Amos and Andrew, almost pushing on to maybe 7th, 8th. I think it's almost, I think I'd put this in the good rather than the mid. I think Amos and Andrew is high mid.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair with that, yeah?
Yeah.
Super. Deadfall. It's got to be in the worst, hasn't it?
Top of the worst.
Yeah, I think that's right. Because it's better than Firebirds and Industrial Symphony. So that's that for me. That's probably I don't know. Maybe Kiss of Death might fit in the bottom 3. Oh, that'll be tough, but we'll sort that out in a minute. But yeah, Deadfall, that's got to be down there. Absolute honking. If you take Cage out of it, it's just not watchable. Guarding Tess was kind of watchable, though. I was surprised that, because it kind of feels cheesy and very much not the kind of thing I would enjoy.
Yeah. I love this.
I don't know if I could go that far, personally. Like, I wouldn't put it in, it wouldn't be a top half. It would be 15th. Around that area. It's watchable. But also, like, there's not much rewatchability in this movie.
Oh, no, there's not at all. It's one of them, especially when you... No, can't spoil Guarding Tess. But it was... Using the mom test parameter, she did actually go and find it and watch it, and she liked it as well.
Oh, okay.
As soon as I watched it, I said, "I know I was going to like this film." Yeah, I remember being coming out of it with a smile on my face.
Well, there could have been a bit more comedy in it, but it was quite happy. It was nice. It was inoffensive. You know, it did its job. It's top of the bad, bottom of the mid category for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because it's probably about a 2.5 star. Like, I don't think it's it's just firmly in the middle.
So, I mean, you look at halfway through this list, and half of them have been pretty okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. What's not okay though, Stu, is the next one, Trapped in Paradise.
No,
this film just fucking stinks. It's not funny. Dana Carvey gives his most frustrating performance that he's ever given, which it goes some way because he's quite an annoying person for the majority of his acting career.
I had this as number 5, but I genuinely love it, and I don't know why, and I accepted it's shit. And it's now entered the Christmas rotation permanently. I don't understand either. But the
when
things
you do
like
Christmas rewatches, is this the kind of one that the family will sit with you and watch?
Oh, no one watches Christmas rewatches. That's purely a solo endeavor. Other than maybe Die Hard and Home Alone, maybe, and Gremlins. But this is on the one where you've got certain other ones, a bit like Four Christmases and things like that, which again is shit. But I'll watch it like once every 3 years or something like that. It's in that kind of thing. It's where it pads it out a bit. If we haven't got any new Melissa Joan Hart films or anything like that to watch, then this is in the list. But again, like Fire Ice and Dynamite, which I've mentioned countless times.
Yeah,
it's a shit film. But it's not even about Christmas. It's just in the snow, and it's got Roger Moore in it. But it's there's just something about it that I love, and I don't understand why. And that's the same as Trapped in Paradise. I know that it's shit, but I have got a strange attachment to it, and I don't know why.
If you put Trapped in Paradise up against The Family Man, and only one of them can survive, which one are you taking? Because I thought The Family Man, I actually enjoyed that. I would expect you to have that in your rotation, not Trapped in Paradise.
I think that The Family Man's because it's the whole, we know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Scrooge to take.
Yeah.
Really. Which again is why we liked, all three of us liked it when we watched it. I've watched it once more since, and that was either last year or the year before. This is so stupid that it's infinitely more watchable than that is, even though that's a better film.
I feel like Trapped in Paradise is your Zanderley.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I want to defend Zanderley, but I feel like I can't because I know it's a bad film. And I think it would probably, this is the one for you.
Yeah.
So it's in the bad category, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Like, yeah, I don't think there's any two ways about it. So Kiss of Death is the next one up. It's going to be bad or worst, isn't it? Is this worse than Deadfall? Because I think Firebirds is probably the bottom because it's low for you and it's rock bottom for me. Industrial Symphony #1 is probably 19th for both of us. 20th for you, and I think I've got it slightly higher. So it's Deadfall or it's... I think they're both bad films, but there's nothing redeeming about Kiss of Death. Whereas Deadfall, you've at least got that Nick Cage to make it a more enjoyable experience.
It's just too boring to care about, which means it's got to be bad.
Which is, it's worse, isn't it, for me?
Yeah.
I'd take a bad film over a boring film any day. So Deadfall, we're saying, they're going to be finishing 17th. They really want to just survive another season. Okay, next one then. This is going to be a title contender, Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah.
That's not controversial, is it? I mean, it's the film he won the Oscar for. It's a masterpiece. It's even watching it as recently as we did, it still holds up. It's still moving. It's still affecting.
I've got this, and I presume the next one up, as joint first.
That's fair.
And then you've got another three that are in the tier below. For me. Leaving Las Vegas, I couldn't believe it took me so long to watch it. It's an exceptional film.
Yeah, absolute work of art. So the next film chronologically is The Rock. Is that what you've got in?
Yeah, joint first.
I think that's right. I completely agree. I think they're the best two films that he put out in the 1990s. The Rock still holds up, even as someone who's not a massive fan of Mayhem, generally speaking. It is one of Michael Bayham's best films. What more can be said really about this? And the other thing I like about The Rock is he does have that little bit of silly side that you get the funness in it as well. So there is stuff that you can sort of pick at and take the piece out of. Like I said, I remember saying in the podcast that it opens up where you're at the general's wife's grave site, and it says on her gravestone, his wife. Not even her name, he just says his wife. it does have the silliness that makes it enjoyable, as well as actually having a really fun story to pull you through.
Yeah.
Next up was another film that I very much enjoyed at the time, and I think I've watched it a couple of times since as well. It Could Happen to You.
Yeah.
It's another one of these ones, a bit like Guarding Test, that I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
It was nice.
Yeah.
It was just nice. And it was like a warm blanket on a November frosty morning.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. I really liked everybody in it as well. I thought Bridget Fonda was lovely as the barmaid, the waitress. Like, you kind of want her to be your waitress and serve you food, because she just made everything seem so much nicer in the world, having that character. And I thought Rosie Perez as Cage's wife, Muriel, she was an absolute cunt. She was brilliant in it. Like, she was such a horrible, horrible person. You really thought, oh God, she's terrible.
It was the fact that it was loosely based on a true story as well.
Yeah.
Which, loose being the word.
Very loose, yeah.
But I remember at the time, I shouldn't have liked this at all.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been. It was almost like too much Haribo for one man to take. But it was sweet. It worked. It really, really worked.
Mm.
And he said, we have got another Cage romantic comedy coming up, but it was one of the better ones.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's high mid, low good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'd probably put it. I think I'd definitely put it ahead of Amos and Andrew. Personally,
they're not really. It's probably a better film. I liked Amos and Andrew more.
Yeah, that makes sense. Con Air. It's a film I love, but also recognise that it's probably not as good as I remember. Like, I remember when we watched it for the podcast, it goes on much longer than I remember initially. Like, I think it's about a 2-hour 20 film, and it hits a point about 2 hours in, you think you should be wrapping this up now. And it's one that, watching it with younger eyes, I loved it. But seeing it now, I don't think it works quite as well. It's in the good category. I don't think it's in the great category. I
was the same, not as harsh as you, but I remember it being better than it was. Maybe because of explosions and planes and all this stuff. But still saying that, I really enjoyed it. And obviously I've seen it multiple times over the years, as with the next one. And that was the kind of level just below the heavy hitters for me. This was one of them.
That's fair. That's where I've got it. I've got it in the good category. Yeah, it's not mid. It's not, because there is a lot of good stuff in there, but it's just not great, because there's some bad. There's more bad than The Rock, for example. Face Off is pushing great.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah, I mean, it's mental. Like, it is crazy when you think about it. But it is a good film with good performances, a good story, and it's wild. And it's probably... No, it's not the best work of Travolta's career. It might be the most famous, maybe, between that and
Broken Arrow.
Fucking Broken Arrow. I haven't seen that for ages.
It's really good. Talking about films that hold up that you expect to be really shit. It really does.
Oh, wow, okay. See, the other one I was thinking, obviously, he was in Pulp Fiction, which he's not really a star of. He's just part of the conglomeration that's in the film. And he's great in it, but as far as starring films, it's probably between Face Off and Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
And I think Saturday Night Fever is a really good movie. What's the sequel? The one with is it Jamie Lee Curtis who's in the sequel with him? I can't remember what it's called.
Is it just Night Fever?
Let's have a quick Google.
No, that was a TV show with Suggs.
Yeah. So Saturday Night Fever was 1977. Let's have a look. He looks so much better bald, by the way. Obviously, I know we've got skin in the game, but it does suit him looking bald, doesn't it? I'm glad he's finally accepted.
Yeah, but he's gone with a beard as well, hasn't he?
Yes. Well, it's got to be done, Stu. You're just holding out on us at this point. I can't find it. Right, okay. So we've got Carrie. I forgot he was in Carrie. Carrie, Saturday Night Fever, Grease, Moment by Moment, Welcome Back, Kotter, I've never heard of. Urban Cowboy, don't know that one. Staying Alive, that's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It's a 4.8. It's not a good film, but it's one of those that you can watch and have fun with. Yeah, I forgot about Grease as well, to be fair. That's another... Like, his 70s were solid, really, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, he's in Look Who's Talking as well. Battlefield Earth.
That's unwatchable. I mean, when we're talking about films that, yeah, I struggled through that one. And Gotti as well, that one. Fucking stinks. I think you could make an argument for Face Off being Travolta's best.
He's got 3 or 4.
He's got some good films. I think I could put an argument forward for Face Off.
Yeah, in fact, Face Off it always has been an exceptional film, and I love it. The fact that you like it, and with it being as ludicrous as it is one of them where it's just kind of in a hockey term, got past the goalie kind of thing.
So that's going in the great section then.
Yeah,
brilliant. Okay, City of Angels. I don't think this is a good film, but I do remember enjoying it.
Yeah, I've got it in the same tier as Con Air.
I don't think it's that good. I don't even think it's as good as it could happen to you. Even I think it's a poor film that I remember laughing at rather than believing parts. The whole we were made to fit together after they'd just had sex always fucking creased me. Her being all happy as Larry after he's decided to become a human and then she dies. Shouldn't laugh at it, but it was funny. But I don't think it... I'd be willing to meet you halfway then and put it in ahead of It Could Happen to You, but not any higher than that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think. Snake Eyes. I don't think that aged well. I don't remember particularly enjoying it at the time. I think it might be bad on the basis that Cage has been doing such a good run of work at this point of his career that it just felt out of place. Like it didn't really work on many levels.
I remember looking forward to this a lot because I hadn't watched it since I watched it at the time and I couldn't remember a single thing about it. When we rewatched it, and it was like, did I even watch this at all?
It's a bad sign, is it?
And that was before the incident as well. So, and it just ended as well, didn't it? It didn't have.
Yeah, very much out of nowhere. Like, there was no resolution to it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think it's in the bad category, personally.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Bringing Out the Dead.
Great.
I did really enjoy it. Yeah. I think that might be 4th place.
I can argue with that.
Yeah, I think that might be great. Yeah. Okay, then the final film of the 90s for Cage was 8mm.
Shit.
It's not a good film, is it?
No.
Like, it was a really good idea of a film that just didn't really work. It's not bottom 3. It's not the worst. It's in the bad category as well. It's in there with Snake Eyes. It felt like they were trying to do something and just didn't really meet the briefing.
Yeah, it's better. It's better than the rubbish that we watched this week.
Oh god, yeah.
But But I'd rather watch Deadfall than Snake Eyes or 8mm.
Yeah, I it's not a better film, but I would rather watch it. Yeah, okay, right then. So that's the categories we've got them. So that's the 20 films. So the bottom three then I think are set in stone. So are we saying Kiss of Death will be 18th, Industrial Symphony No. 1 19th, and Firebirds will be the worst film of the 1990s for him. Do you agree with that? I'm kind of happy to swap around Industrial Symphony and Firebirds because it's not a real film and he's in it for a second. So I'm happy to put Industrial at number 20 and they're the relegated three.
Yeah, just the fact that it's not a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it still manages to be boring and it's only 40 minutes long. It has to be the worst.
Yeah, I agree. I'm fine with that. That's fine. So I think the bottom set in stone and the top as well. I think we've got 4 very strong, very good films. Leaving Las Vegas, The Rock, Face Off, and Bringing Out the Dead. I think that's the right order. I think Leaving Las Vegas is the best. The Rock is second best. Face Off is third. Bringing Out the Dead's fourth.
I'm still having them as joint first, but then third and fourth. Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, yeah, I've got Leaving Las Vegas ahead. I think that is, yeah, I think that's masterful. I think that's a brilliant film. Everyone's on their game in that one. So I've got that slightly ahead. So just on the basis of you're like halfway agreeing with me.
Yeah.
Let's go 1 to 4 on that. In the good category then, so we've got 3 films here. We've got Red Rock West, Wild at Heart, and Con Air. Con Air's probably I'm happy to put Wild at Heart, move that down. 5th place then. Red Rock West, Con Air.
Con Air, then Red Rock West. They're very similar. They're very similar. I mean, Red Rock. If we're looking at it as better films,
yeah,
Red Rock West is probably better than Con Air. Probably.
It's tough. I think I enjoyed Red Rock West more, but maybe Con Air is better, and it's definitely got the wider appeal. I think. So when Cage is very much, the big swinging dick in Hollywood at this point, and everything he touches is turning to gold right now. I'm happy with Con Air at 5, Red Rock West at 6.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, as long as they're above Wild at Heart, that's the main thing.
See, I've got Wild at Heart at 7. Do you think that's fair? Because right under that, then, so in the mid, we've got City of Angels, It Could Happen to You, Amos and Andrew, and Honeymoon in Vegas. Red Rock West above them. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
So
I think that order is probably spot on anyway.
I mean, I could make an argument to try and tell you, but at the same time, yeah, you're probably right. There's not much in it. I think you probably group City of Angels and It Could Happen to You together, and you group Amos and Andrew and Honeymoon in Vegas together. I enjoyed all 4 of them for very different reasons.
There's probably if you look at them as mid-table, there's 3 points between the 4 of them.
Yeah, that's spot on actually. So in the bad category then, so where are we? So that's 1 to 4, that's 7. 8th then is City of Angels, 9th is It Could Happen to You. Amos and Andrew is closing out the top half in 10th. 11th is Honeymoon in Vegas. So 12th down to 17th. So Guarding Tess, I'm happy having that at the top of the bad section, so to speak. I think that's 12th, perfectly fine for that kind of a film. So the rest of them, they're a big dirge, aren't they? So 8mm, Snake Eyes, Xander Lee, Trapped in Paradise, Deadfall. I think Deadfall should be staying where it is. I think that should be 17th. Because take Cage out of it, it's not good.
It's not good, but I would have had them the other way round.
What, having Deadfall coming in at 13th?
I hate 8mm was awful. I didn't like it at all. But then
I couldn't say I hated it. It's not good, but there were elements to it that I kind of enjoyed, and I kind of liked that it showed a different side of like a mainstream kind of a film. You had Peter Stormare, James Gandolfini, Joaquin Phoenix.
They're just wasted.
That they were wasted, but I did think that they gave good performances. I don't think the story was there to make it as interesting as it needed to be. I'm happy to move the 8mm down because I think...
Yeah, I mean, Deadfall has to be bottom of this group, realistically.
Yeah.
And I think 8mm just above it.
I'm okay with that. I think just above that is Trapped in Paradise. Sorry, but it's just shit. Then Zanderlei just above that. And then Snake Eyes. Like, I think Snake Eyes is a better film than the others mentioned here. But it's still not a good film. Like, there's no... Like, I wouldn't tell anyone to watch it. But I think that... So then we've got... So 12th place then. Is that right? Yeah, 12th place is Guardian Tess. 13th Snake Eyes. 14th is Zanderlei. 15th Trapped in Paradise. 16th is 8mm. 17th is Deadfall. So that's all 20 films in the 1990s, all done. Wow. And it didn't take us 2 hours to do it, Stu. I'm kind of astounded.
No. It's a remarkably collaborative effort.
Yeah. Like, this might be the shortest podcast we've done this year. I'm quite amazed by that. Right, okay. So next month, is that right? We're into October, aren't we, next month?
Yeah.
Let me have a look. What day are we on? Oh, yeah. So this is going out on the 24th. So it'll be the 1st of October. So what I was thinking for October, Stu, obviously the first episode, we always do a question cast. So that will be 1st of October, will be a question cast. I don't know what film I've got written down. Let me check that. Dying of the Light will be the first film of October that we'll be watching. Originally, I was going to do something about heroes and stuff throughout October, but I think we'll push that back because it's the 30th anniversary of Friends. It's actually today. It's the first episode of Friends went out in our world, the 22nd of September, 30 years ago. So I thought what we could do for October is we could have a look at maybe our top 5 Friends episodes and then have a look at some of their work post-Friends, some of the actors.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll be different.
Yeah, change it up. So we'll have a bit more of a TV-centric month looking at Friends and whatnot. I think would be a good idea. So yeah, that'll be the next few weeks of next month. We'll throw a games cast and Matt will be around for a music cast as well. So we'll pad it out. We've got a 5-week month, so we need content.
You know what's content though? What I hadn't said this. When I downloaded Deadfall originally, I downloaded the wrong one.
There's like 3, isn't there?
Yeah, so I downloaded it because I just put Deadfall in and it come up and it was recent enough. And it was one that starring Eric Bana.
Oh, God, right.
Exactly, but Eric Bana, Charlie Hunnam, Sissy Spacek and Olivia Wilde.
Okay.
I think and Chris Christopherson.
That's a solid enough cast.
Kate Mara as well.
I do like Kate Mara.
I think you'd really like this film. It was really easy to get as well.
Okay. 2 siblings decide to fend for themselves in the wake of a botched casino heist and their unlikely reunion during another family Thanksgiving. This sounds like fucking Trapped in Paradise, Stu. But now I will see if I can locate that and squeeze it in. I've got a few films out this week that I'm trying to get in. There's a Secret Screaming Monday night, so I have a funny feeling that might be Smile 2, which, like, I didn't enjoy the first Smile, but I've got to say the trailer for Smile 2 does look interesting. And then there's another film, Strange Darlings, which has been getting some good buzz that I really want to see, and The Substance as well, which a lot of people are drawing comparisons to Titan, the film with the woman who fucked a car.
Yeah.
That I loved. Like, it's getting a lot of comparisons to that type of body horror. So there's shitloads of films this week that I want to try and squeeze in. So I will also try and get Deadfall in if I can.
The other Deadfall.
The other Deadfall, yeah. It's a bit like Crash and Sexy Crash, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be a good version of some of these films. Right, okay. That's us done this week. Make sure you've got us on your podcatchers. 5-star reviews would be tremendous. It's at Cage Fighting Pod on all of the socials and cagefightingpod@gmail.com for any emails that you've got. Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everyone. Autumn is coming. Autumn is here. No one cares about Halloween, of course, so get ready for Christmas. Goodbye.
It has now overtaken, hasn't it? Like, when you go into shops and Christmas stuff is there where there's no Halloween stuff in some places. Like, it's just, we're at that point now where Christmas has taken over at least a quarter of the year.
But Halloween, there they go. They're their chance. People have wised up to it and realised, no, we're not Americans. So now we can all grow up again and have sparkles.
That doesn't belong in the same sentence. Grow up and have sparkles.
Sparkles are for everyone.
Lovely. Right, it's goodbye from me, and remember, be excellent to each other.